Hey, what is going on, guys? XpertFusion here, and today I'm going to be doing a ranking of every single season of AMC's The Walking Dead. All 8 of the seasons ranked from worst to best. I recently ranked every single episode in The Walking Dead's history in 3 previous videos. They did it in 3 parts, so go check those out before you watch this for sure. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, you don't have to. You can watch certain portions of it, maybe just the top 10, maybe just the top 10 worst, whatever you want to do. Go ahead, but check it out because I put a lot of work into it, and I really appreciate it if you did check it out. And don't forget to like the video either, and let's get into this. So, starting off with my least favorite season from AMC's The Walking Dead, which would be in 8th place, is Season 1. Now, before you freak out, just know this is my opinion. This is how I feel about the seasons in terms of the writing, the directing, the acting, the overall quality of the seasons, and just also my personal enjoyment of the seasons. Maybe I enjoyed other seasons more than you, so obviously it's going to be different, so don't freak out if my opinions aren't the same. But I do believe that Season 1 is the worst, and here is why. So first of all, it's really short, and I don't want to put its shortness against it because it's not, it's not short because it wanted to be or whatever. It was because they had to do that. That was the only thing they were allowed to do for their first season. But it does get in the way, of course, in terms of, you get less stuff. So there's less stuff for it to be better, you know what I mean? But even then, I'm going to be honest, Season 1, the only times I really were, enjoying it was, the first 2 episodes. I loved Episode 1, I loved Episode 2, but 3, 4, 5, and 6, I'm not a big fan of, and you can tell that by my ranking of all episodes. They're pretty damn low on the list, so I just don't think Season 1's that good. I mean, it's a good way to bring the show together. It's a good way to start it. I don't expect Season 1s of most shows to be that good because Season 1s are meant to, build up a story. They're meant to start a story, and then Season 2 is supposed to flesh it out, and the characters are just supposed to be built up in Season 1. That's kind of what it's all about. And they're being introduced to this apocalypse, so obviously it's not going to be as exciting as later seasons. So I don't expect Season 1 to be all that great. That's why it comes in at number 8. Next up, we have, coming in at number 7, Season 2. Now, trust me, it's not going to go straight in chronological order from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's not going to do that, trust me. But for now, it is. Season 2 is definitely thought of as one of the worst seasons by most people. It's the majority most hated season. It was. I don't know if it is now, honestly. I'm thinking Season 7 or 8 is more hated now by the majority of people just because there's a lot of, toxic people in the Walking Dead community. I think we all know that. But Season 2, to me, this is how I think of it. So the first half, I didn't like. I was kind of bored out of my mind for a lot of it. Okay, not bored out of my mind. That's a bit ridiculous. Just not that excited or anything like that. Or even, I wasn't that drawn into the story, even if it wasn't, action. I'm not saying it has to be action. Even on the non-action parts, it still wasn't that exciting. But the second half of Season 2 is a whole nother story. I think the second half of Season 2 is incredibly written, it's incredibly acted, incredibly directed. A lot of the episodes, Episode 10, somewhat 11, 12, and 13, they're all really good. Even 9 is really good. I really enjoy the second half of Season 2. I enjoyed stuff with Randall. I enjoy the Rick versus Shane that's going on. So I gotta say, second half of Season 2 is great. First half, not so much. I did enjoy Episode 7, though. Episode 7 is a solid one. Also, Episode 3 is pretty solid, but the rest of it, I can't really find much enjoyment in Season 2, and, it did feel way too slow, and it felt like it could have been condensed, but at the same time, I don't think it should have been condensed, because I kind of really like it how it, set up the characters. I mean, a lot of those characters got so well development there that it makes us care so much more about them in later seasons. So that makes me appreciate Season 2 for the character build-up. But that doesn't mean I'm going to think it's one of the best seasons by any means. Coming in at the number 6 spot is Season 7. Now, like I said, I don't hate any of these seasons. I don't think one of them is terrible. I don't think any of them are bad. I just think, this is the order they deserve to be in. And I really hate to put Season 7 this low because I actually really enjoyed Season 7. But I can't deny the fact that there's a lot of portions of Season 7 that is just not that interesting. So it starts off insanely strong. Season 7 started off with one of the best episodes in the entire Walking Dead history, the one when Glenn and Abe get their heads bashed in. Incredible episode. I absolutely love the directing, acting, everything about that episode is amazing. The soundtracks in Season 7 were also really good, I gotta say. The soundtracks were some of the best we've ever had in Season 7. And then we get, throughout the couple development episodes, because this is the newer, bigger world that was being developed in Season 7. It had a lot of build-up to the big war in Season 8. A lot of build-up. We had build-up from the Kingdom, the Hilltop, Alexandria, the Oceanside, the Junkyard people, all of them being built up throughout the entirety of the first half of Season 7, and even in the second half. Oh, I forgot about the Sanctuary, a whole other community as well. So a lot of build-up between story arcs in Season 7, and that's why it felt kind of slower and not as good as it could have been. But at the same time, I liked the development. I liked everything about it. I liked the Carl Negan story arc in episode 7 and 8. I liked Spencer's death. I liked the finale. The finale was one of the best episodes in The Walking Dead history. I mean, that started the war. And we had a couple episodes in there like the Winslow Walker. We had a couple of awesome character episodes. Like, I actually really enjoyed the Terrace episode, which was obviously called Swear. A lot of people hated it, but I thought it was good because it developed a new community that came into somewhat importance later on. So, people give Season 7 flack, but I can't call it the worst season, but I can't call it the best either. It has some amazing episodes, but also has some pretty slow, not so good episodes here and there. So one example would be episode 11. I don't like that episode that much at all, but that's that. Coming in number 5, we have Season 5. A lot of people like to put Season 5 at their top 1 or top 2 or whatever it may be. They like to put Season 5 really high. When I understand that, I think Season 5 is really good. But when I look at Season 5, I see it like this. I see episodes 1, 2, and 3 being the pinnacle of Season 5. That's like the best 3 episodes of the entire season. Even some of the best 3 episodes of the entire series. They're really good. Those first 3 episodes are like 3 consecutive, just an insane amount of awesomeness in just 3 episodes. And I guess you could connect it to the Season 4 finale. It kind of goes together with a 4-part Hunter Terminus type storyline. I don't know. I think it's a really great couple episodes. But then you get a really bad slump of episodes from episode 4 to 10. Now, I'm not saying 4 to 10 are all bad. I'm saying the majority of them are either not that good or just a lot lower on the list. Like episode 4 is my least favorite episode in The Walking Dead history. Episode 5 is okay. Episode 6 is okay. Episode 7 is okay. Episode 8 is okay. Episode 9 is okay. Episode 10, I like better than all of them, but it's still okay. None of them are, insane, amazing episodes. Like I said, they're development. But you can't always say development's amazing. And then we get the introduction of Alexandria with episode 11 and 12 and 13, and things start picking up. A new storyline starts coming in. And then the end of Season 5, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed 14, 15, 16 being one of my favorite episodes in the series. But so Season 5 had some good parts, but it also had some rough parts in my opinion. It could have been a lot better, it could have been a lot worse. So I can't say it's terrible by any means, but it's not the best by any means. Coming in at the number 4 spot, I have Season 3. So I'll be a little biased for this season because of the fact that it was the first season I started watching the show, so you could put a little bit of bias in there, but at the same time, I personally believe this season deserves the spot for a few other reasons. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Season 3 is without flaws, because it does have tons and tons of flaws. For example, there's a couple of writing situations that I wasn't too keen about, specifically with Andrea, but it doesn't really affect the season in a large capacity at all for me. I think the governor kind of creates the season. In my opinion, he makes the season what it is. I think he's one of the greatest villains of all time. I don't like him more than Negan, but I still like him a lot, and I thought he brought a lot of awesome stuff to the table. The actor, of course, brought a lot of greatness to the character. He brought the character to life in an amazing and scary, sort of psychotic way, creating some of the greatest episodes we've had this season as well. Starting off, the first 4 episodes were pretty great. Episode 1 and 2 and 4 being really intense and awesome. A great start to the prison. Episode 4 being one of the best of the entire series. Then you have the introduction of Woodbury and the problems that the prison group had to deal with. Merle was also great this season. Can't forget about Merle. He was one of the best parts of the season by far. Michonne, the introduction of Michonne. I loved her character this season. I loved how she was this quiet sort of character and then slowly came out of her shell when, she, grew close to Carl in episode 12 and then closer to Rick as time went on. I loved all that. And then it ended with a pretty mediocre finale, but it completely was made up by the amazing episode in Season 4, which I'll talk about later, of course. So well, looking back on season 3, it was a really well put together season. I mean, it really, really was. It was a pretty closed off season. It was one of the only seasons where, it started with there being a time jump before, and it also ended with there being a time jump after. So it was a pretty secluded season, because I don't think there's another season like that, because every other season is somehow connected to the previous or the next season. But this season is so independently closed off in both directions, which is interesting. It's unique about this season, but it's such an interesting part of the comics that were brought to life on screen, and I really, really loved it. So season 3 deserves its spot in the list. Coming in at the number 3 spot, I have season 4. Season 4 is also hated on a lot between a lot of people, but I think season 4 is pretty freaking incredible. So first things first, the first 5 episodes are the sickness story arc. That's what I call it, the sickness storyline. And it, in my opinion, it's one of the best. It's easily the best non-comic book storyline that they've ever done on the show, in my opinion. But even then, it's still one of my favorite storylines, because sickness is not something that they've really focused on that much in the Walking Dead universe, and to have a flu going around, like a sickness besides the main, obviously, infection of the walkers. This is a completely new sort of a sickness, and I love the idea of doing it and having this flu that kills people, and they're all together in this prison with tons of people, and what would happen when people started dying from this sickness. I thought that was an incredible idea, and it made for some awesome episodes. It made for some awesome scenes. Episode 2, 3, and 5 all being some of my favorite in the series. Some intense stuff going on, with some awesome development of characters as well. And then I didn't really like episode 6 and 7. I mean, I liked the governor, but I didn't like how they gave him 2 episodes to himself. It kind of was like, does he really need that? I thought maybe he needed like 1 episode, but whatever. Because then after that, we get episode 8, which is, in my opinion, the best episode in the entire Walking Dead season, or in the entire Walking Dead series. I believe Too Far Gone is the best. You guys will see that in my ranking all Walking Dead episode video. But incredible episode. Then we move on to the second half, which I don't think the second half is as good, but it still has some pretty epic stuff going on. It has really good character development all the way through, but it's really strange. It's different because the characters are all split up throughout the entirety of the season. They're split up, they're not together, and then they obviously, some of them get together in the end of the season. And it's so interesting seeing all these characters slowly kind of come to each other, slowly kind of leave behind tracks, and then the characters run into those tracks, and seeing the storylines kind of interconnect, but not 100% interconnect, was really interesting. And I like the way they split up the groups. I thought it was pretty incredible, and it made for a couple of pretty good episodes. Like, I thought 11 was great. Don't forget about 14. Holy shit, 14, The Grove is one of the best episodes, of course, with Carol putting down Lizzie. That was incredible. I love that episode. And then episode 16, the finale, was also really good. I love the Marauders. Those guys were some fucked up people. But that scene of Rick biting out Joe's throat was just muy buen. And then the ending of Rick saying they're screwing with the wrong people, or the better version of they're fucking with the wrong people. I love that. I love that. Such a good season in my opinion, but it is not the best because we have 2 seasons left to go over. So coming at the number 2 spot, I have the most recent season, which is season 8. Now, I know season 8 is one of the most hated seasons, and I really don't understand why. Like, I try to listen out, and I understand when people hate on certain seasons. Like, a lot of people hate on season 7. Like, sometimes I understand where they're coming from. But season 8 is the one season where I just don't understand any of the hate given for it. Maybe a little bit I understand, but it's hard to understand because you look at the season, it is really good. First of all, the first 4 episodes is a freaking whole entire war going down. Now, I remember season 7, people were asking, where's the action? There's not enough action in this show. It's just talk, talk, talk. I want action, action, action. And you get that in season 8. You get that with the first 4 episodes. The first 4 episodes were the most action-packed 4 episodes of the entire series. Episode 2 being, in my opinion, the best of all of them. I loved episode 2. I thought episode 2 was one of the most intense episodes of all time. I really do. I mean, I had some problems with certain directing decisions in certain episodes. Sometimes, the shootouts don't seem that well done in terms of the choreography. Sometimes, it looks a little lazy, like a little lazy graphics here and there. But at the same time, the story, the writing, the development of these characters, and the war that they go through, I thought was well done. Could have been better? Yes, it could have been better. Anything could be better. But I still think that Season 8 was done incredibly for the all-out war purpose. But I don't even think the first half was the best. First half I thought was pretty good. And then it ended with Episode 8, which was a pretty freaking major shocker of Carl getting bitten. And as much as I didn't like it at first, as time went on, I accepted it. And I realized it's not that big of a deal. Because we have Judith. We have tons of other characters to fill his roles from the comics. So we shouldn't be worrying that much. Episode 8, by the way, being really good. And the season also had incredible soundtracks, by the way. You'll notice with Season 6, 7, and 8, they all had great soundtracks. For some reason, Bear McCreary, or I believe that's how you pronounce it, he had some pretty good soundtracks from Seasons 1 to 5, for sure. But I think his soundtracks just started getting 20 times better once Season 6 came around, and now they've been amazing ever since then. So just keep doing what you're doing, man, because you make some amazing ass soundtracks, and I can't wait to see the rest of the stuff you do in Season 9 and above. But overall, I think Season 8 got really good with the second half. We have Episode 9 with Carl. Honor, I think Honor is one of the best episodes in the entire series. With Carl's death, I thought it was well done, well acted, well directed, well everything. And then you have the rest of the war go down. And we have Episode 12, 13, 14, and 16, which are all standout episodes in my opinion, and creates a really intense season. I do think 16 could have been better. I do think the battle should have been a little bit bigger, but at the same time, you can't get everything you want. And I think what they did for the writing purposes, it all made sense. It did. So Season 8, I think, deserves to be praised a little bit more than it is, for sure. So if you use process of elimination, you could probably figure out that Season 6 is the number one best season in The Walking Dead, in my opinion, and I'm going to go over why. So, first things first, the first 3 episodes are, like I said, for most seasons. Obviously, Season 5, in my opinion, has some really awesome 3 straight episodes in the beginning. Same for Season 8. But Season 6, first 3 episodes, I think are possibly even better in terms of the interconnection. I'm not saying like separately each of the episodes. I'm saying all of them together. They're like a movie. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 all together feel like a connected movie, which it's incredible. I think the whole entire No Way Out story arc, which went on from Episode 1 all the way to Episode 9, was really good. One of the best parts of the comics, and I thought it was done almost perfectly. A few of those episodes there, like Episode 5, 6, and 7, I thought were okay. Episode 4 was a good Morgan episode. I don't think it needed to be its whole entire episode, but in terms of the writing and the development that they gave Morgan in that episode, one of the best for that reason. Episode 8 and 9, kind of the 2-part type episode of No Way Out, is the second best. I think No Way Out is the second best episode in the entire series, and start to finish is okay, I think it's really good, but it's not like, as good as No Way Out, of course, but as a 2-part episode sort of a thing, they work together very well, almost like a movie as well. And then you get a time skip, which, like I said, that half is still really good, but the second half is even better. I mean, obviously it starts out with the second part of No Way Out, and then it moves into Episode 10, which is a nice comedic feeling episode, which I think it needed. Then you get the introduction of a new world, which is in Episode 11 with Hilltop. They get introduced to who the saviors are, which they already kind of saw earlier in the season. And boom, we just get an onslaught of, I think, the best consecutive episodes ever. Because they had 11, well, first of all, 9 was great. 10 was good. 11, great. 12 is one of the best episodes. 13, really good. 14, really good. 15, pretty good. 16, one of the best. It was just a consecutive flush of great storylines and great episodes, all in the second half of Season 6. I think the introduction of the Saviors and leading up to Episode 16, which Episode 16 was such an insane, intense ride to the finale of seeing Negan in the end and introducing Negan and bashing in someone's head, which obviously we didn't get to see till season 7, but it didn't matter because the way they did it, I think, was really well done. And I feel like season 6 is the pinnacle of The Walking Dead at this moment. I think it's the pinnacle, in my opinion. But because you gotta realize it has everything The Walking Dead is good for in one season. First half is zombie action. Zombies is the main threat. Zombies are, I'm calling them zombies, you know what I mean, walkers. They're the main threat. They're the main problem. They are the reason for the characters to be scared. Obviously, there's some other reasons, like the wolves and stuff like that, but walkers are the main threat in the first half. In the second half, people are the main threat. Obviously, the saviors, they become a major threat. And they see this new world order and these new people. And that's why it's so split up so well. It has a character development all the way through. Has a lot of action, one of the most action-packed seasons of all time. I think 8 is a little more action-packed, but 6 is still pretty action-packed. It's got some of the best soundtracks we've ever had in any season. And some of the best directing. Some of the best writing, too. Man, it is just a fully stacked season, and I think people need to realize that season 6... The one thing it doesn't have going for it is a lot of impactful character deaths. They had the Glenn fake out, which a lot of people didn't like. Me personally, I didn't think they needed to do it. I think they could have done it in a different light, and it would have been done better for sure. But it didn't ruin the season for me. But in terms of character deaths, we don't really have many when you think about it. Season 6 had Nicholas die. Obviously, I'm talking about like somewhat main characters. I'm not going to name all characters that died, but like we had Nicholas die, then we had Deanna, and we had the Anderson family and Denise. That was really it. And those aren't even, not one of those characters, in my opinion, are main characters. They're all side characters. Deanna probably the most important out of all of them. But none of like the OGs or anything like that, which is really weird. But I don't think a season needs to have a bunch of main characters die for it to be considered good. I think it just needs to be well written, well done, and well acted, and all the above. That's all I think it needs, in my opinion. But I think season 6 deserves to be the number 1 spot, and I hope that we get seasons that are better than this in the future. Hopefully season 9 decides to be my favorite. I don't know if it will. I honestly don't think it will. Sadly is to say, but I don't think it will, because Rick Grimes is not going to be there. I mean, I know the season is going to be probably good. I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it can be, but I just don't know if it can possibly be my favorite without Rick Grimes for a lot of it. First 5 episodes, obviously, we'll have him, which is going to be great. I'm interested to see how they take him out of the story, possibly bring him back in. I don't know yet, but I'm interested to see what Season 9 can do. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Season 9 will be my favorite. I don't know. I'm hoping it will be, but I just don't know if it can without Rick. And without Maggie, too. I get it. Can't forget about that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your list is in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.